And we are back, where I have an announcement to make. I think the funniest human beings of all time move over comedians, clowns, midgets. There's someone even better. And that is reviewers of cars on YouTube with specifically this British voice.
Yeah.
Why do you hate them so much?
What?
Why do you hate them
he
so
loves
I
them.
love
He
them.
lives for them.
much? But he
dude.
ironically likes them.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
but what don't I ironically
yeah.
like? I don't think I actually like any.
Yeah, is there any other kind of liking stuff? Well,
Yeah, is there?
there is for me.
What?
You know,
What do you genuinely like?
pickled things.
That's true. You
Guitar
do.
pedal.
Guitar
But even then, there
pedals.
is a hint of irony in that.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It is pickled in irony.
Irony and
Wow.
vinegar.
Comic at work.
Yeah. No, but those guys.
Hey, we're not doing the comments anymore. Also, I got like this really angry message on Instagram saying like about those rubber tugs. I'm not gonna like talk about it because it's basically saying that those girls that
What
do
was
rubber
it? Just abuse?
No, she's saying like the girls that like are at those massage parlors are basically abused.
Yeah,
Because-
you're abusing Ali. So
I
the
really
cycle continues.
Yeah, I really don't.
$20 is enough, all right?
really-
$20 for like
I don't
for like
think-
a hand job.
don't think
Too
that-
much.
I don't think they're universally abused. I mean, like, there's a lot of sex workers, for example, too, that are rich beyond your wildest dreams and like owning it girl. So it's like, nah.
Pamela
I
Anderson
don't-
or someone.
Nah, there's a girl in Sydney that's just like got roles in big movies. And she's just a high class prostitute, and people
Yeah,
are just
like,
like people are just like, and I'm not saying it's
I mean, every time I see one of those high-class prostitutes, I think, how are you charging 60 grand an hour?
but like I
Because
just
they're
don't-
not doing it for sex. That's what I'm saying. They're probably good companions.
look.
That's true. You know that there are, and you do know this.
What do you mean? I do not. I do not know.
No, you don't know
Yeah.
about 60 grand prostitutes. Let's put it that way.
I
You
don't.
know, like, no, look,
Hey,
Ali has
hey.
never been to a prostitute, to my knowledge. But
Fuck off.
fuck off. Dude, look, honestly, circle of friends, there's that, but also that,
And
like,
the-
your friend was talking about there are people who are men who sell their friendship to businessmen.
Wait, which friend of this is mine? I can't remember.
Some loser that works in the stock market.
Okay.
Play
but-
dumb with me.
I don't know anyone that works in the stock market.
I can't remember either. I think it was you that was saying it, though, that there are guys that charge as much as $1,000 a night just to hang out with businessmen because businessmen have money and no social skills.
Yeah.
So no one wants to hang out with them.
Right.
Well, you
So
can hire a
essentially
friend.
You, Miss Love, you could charge, you could be that dame, that $60,000 an hour girl. That's you.
Yeah, no,
everything on
that I know is the
Snake
thing.
Eyes.
Ali, if you just like wound back on the Marxism a bit, you could do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can hire friends. Wasn't there like a Kevin Hart movie about that where like this guy hires Kevin Hart as his best man, and that's his service. He's like the greatest
Really?
friend you can ever have.
Yeah. I don't know.
So-
I don't watch any of his movies because they're shit.
But I'd rather it be someone that's hot. So
yeah, that's true.
can I,
I don't
say
think
something
they
to
do.
say?
Brian Cranston because he's a paraplegic and he hires him to be his carer.
No, that's
Bryan
that's you're watching the wrong movies. It's a really fat guy that's getting married to a really hot chick. Hence, sold. I'm gonna watch that movie.
And it's called Reverse Shallow Hal.
I think it's called Wedding something.
Deep how?
Deep. Deep La.
I mean,
But anyways, can we quickly do this game because we've got matey segments afterwards.
yeah. No, let's.
There's a,
Hardly wait. Getting tortured, followed by a bunch of intense talk.
luckily for you guys, there's no torture because I couldn't think of a punishment, so we're gonna have to come up with a punishment collectively. Maybe the audience can suggest something. But okay, so this game was suggested
Start
by
your suggestions now, gang.
Emily Conroy, and she came up with a really good idea.
Ooh, Conroy.
So she wants us, the three of us, to argue something that we hate or we're completely against, but we should sell it as something that's great. Whoever does the best job wins the segment. So, Jordan, for you,
Well, I'll do that. That's my job.
for you, you have to do a convincing speech of why the Liberal Party is the greatest party and why you should vote for them. You,
Let's see
Miss
how
Love,
transactional I am. What about you?
you, Miss Love, have to do why guitar pedals suck.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yes.
And there's none for me, so you guys have to come up
Yes,
with something
there
that I
is.
have to do.
Stalin was bad.
What a tough subject that is.
That's hard.
It is hard for him. It's hard for him.
Say. So not fair. We're stuck in the,
This pod's red pill.
there are narratives of our own fucking
When
lives.
you're like finding it difficult to go against Stalin.
I've really never heard people with these opinions before, and I love it.
All right, okay.
Rub and tugs to the winners.
Yeah, all right, that's great. We're doing that.
Gus, saddle up.
All right, Miss Love, you want to go? Jordan, actually, you go first. Do a proper speech of why we should vote for the Liberal Party. And by the way, guys, MLKs and rest of the pod listeners, you have to decide who wins through a poll, right?
Well, I think that the main reason that you should vote for the Liberal Party is because of sensible economic management.
This is just one of your videos.
It is a broad tent, including the likes of Malcolm Fraser and, of course, Malcolm Turnbull.
He can't
And
do it.
you-
What evidence do you have to suggest that they're good liberal economic managers?
Oh, look at the surplus. I mean, as soon as Labor got in, it just went down the toilet, didn't it? And you can say that it's higher under the Liberals, but who started that deficit? If it wasn't, if Howard was still in today, we'd still be in the black. It was all because of Kevin Rudd's fiasco that we are currently in debt, and that's going to burden us for generations now. The other thing that I think
This is
the reason you
good
should be
acting.
listening to the Liberals is because that they're a party whose philosophy changes with the time. So while Labor is always stuck in class warfare, pre-industrial Australia, industrial Australia, the Liberals move with the times. They are more open to change, and that is why you have diverse leaders like Tony Abbott and Malcolm Turnbull in the same party. Whereas Julia Gillard and Kevin Rudd couldn't tell the difference. One had red hair. That was it.
All right, now,
wait,
I'm a Liberal voter. There you go.
Who's better, Tony Abbott or Malcolm Turnbull?
Look, personally, because of my views, I liked Malcolm Turnbull more. I thought that he had like a much better view of a modern Australia because this is something no one knew about him, but he was really into innovation.
Wait, just
But-
quickly.
And jobs.
Dude, just quickly. There's a comment that just said some young lib is going to cut this out of context and just paste it.
Why should you
do
vote
it.
Liberal? Just ask Friendlyjordies.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. Do you have any more to add?
Scott Morrison rules. Peace out.
All right. Miss Love, do you want me to go or do you want to go next?
Huh? Are you going too?
Yeah, apparently I'm
I'll go.
not defending Stalin. That's what he
go.
said, unless you have a better one.
I'll go. All right. Bo Diddley, Keith Richards, Chuck Berry, and some other old cunt that everyone's forgot about. What do they have in common, boys? No need for flimsy, bloody toys at their feet to make world-class rock and roll. Guitar pedals are just transformers for your feet. Who needs them?
What?
Toys. They're toys.
Oh, right. Okay.
You get it?
Yeah. No. I'm fine.
You want to play Wembley Stadium? Put away that fuzz pedal. Put away that digital delay. Crank it into the Marshall and crank it to 11. But it worked for Angus Young. Can buy gum work for you. You don't need these, shoegaze bands like, I don't know. What are they called? I don't even know any shoe. The Stone Roses and Sleep's
King
not.
Gizzard.
Yeah, look, they're not really shoegaze, but yeah, look, King Gizzard.
Wait, that's a safe word.
Slow dive, these bands, this is what happens. They're playing, you're rocking out, You got your arm around your girl. You're bloody. You're enjoying the show. You just like got the horns in the air. You're like, yeah, this is the time of my life. Then boom, the power disconnects and the guy's reverb pedal it turns off. You know what's going to play? Polly Wally Doodle. The music stops and it just goes diggy ding 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 diggy 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 ding diggy ding 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 diggy ding. Hence,
But aren't you arguing that you need the pedal then?
I'm saying they're masking themselves, and you got to be.
But that's good, isn't it?
No,
But they're making good music.
that's
to
not.
mask.
Who cares? That's not rock and
not
roll.
rock and roll.
You need visceral, straight into the amp. Spring reverb? No. If you want spring, how about this? If you put the spring reverb on your amp, I'm gonna blow your head off with a shotgun. How's that sound? How's that sound? Does it sound good?
No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So don't play with a fucking spring reverb.
Well, Miss Love, I've got to say this is a shocking turn of events, and I never would have expected that you would say that.
I know.
You know
Damn.
what? You've turned me around on this subject that I have zero investment in.
All I have to
So-
say is, I don't need nada. I don't need to do that. Dear, I can just do this. Sorry, that's a very inside joke that no one on the internet will get, but
In fact, I'm going to go one further and say no one needs NIDA. Acting is just vibing. Change my mind.
yeah,
It is. We don't have to change mine.
yeah. So I reckon that's not. Yeah.
I've got a few suggestions. Tell me if you still want me to do Stalin or are these better. So someone suggested surely Ali should be arguing against Hindu national. I guess like they mean for Hindu nationalism.
Yeah, but Ali's kind of for him.
The
Aren't
second
they
one
already
was
Hindu nationalists.
let Ali defend living according to the Quran.
Oh, I think that's the
No,
one.
but
oh, but you are a little
he
bit
sort of is into
takia,
that too.
takia, a little bit of takia.
A little bit of taqiyya. Do you want to explain what taqiyya is?
Takia is deceiving the unbelievers to slip
I'm the
Muslim
wrong guy to
rhetoric
explain it.
into your cornflakes, and then you're eating your cornflakes, and I don't like Muhammad, but he's not that bad. Oh, did I just say that? What was that? Takia. Bye.
It's not
That was his
taqiyya.
interpretation of it.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a very Gavin-esque interpretation.
It's my only source of information
Yeah.
on the subject.
I still reckon it's Stalin.
Stalin?
Explain to me why Stalin was a bad guy.
That's the easiest one. Heaps of starvation. I think that's
Yeah, but I can argue all those points. Let's
Oh,
see
you're
him
gonna
argue the other way.
So you're really gonna debate it?
Yeah, I can do
Oh
that.
well, then do it, because otherwise, if you just give him free reign, it's like I could do that.
I tried to debate with you. It's just you could be right about the pedal thing. I don't know.
I think he was right about the pedal thing.
Everyone's saying pegging though, but
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Arguing against pegging, we've got a new champion.
Oh, okay. So you want to do that? All right.
well, look, you guys go. Well, whatever, I don't care.
At this point, I really don't know if Ali likes pegging.
Neither do I.
I think.
Are we doing pegging or Stalin? I kind of want to hear Stalin now.
All right, do Stalin.
Okay.
But the guys have spoken. Another Stalin. Yeah, let's just do Stalin.
All right, let's just do Stalin. So that
Was
we can
Stalin into
move.
pegging?
Okay. I think Stalin sucked because he never liked pegging. He was explicitly against pegging.
Oh, the contest is over in one foul sentence.
Actually,
Oh,
that's
Stalin,
true.
yeah.
Stalin. One of the biggest problems with Stalin was his. He was so powerful. He should have had a harem, but he was a cuck.
Was he?
Apparently, it turns out the only person that he was regularly sleeping with was his maid. And how like this is like actually sorry, Stalin was into he liked them thick.
Yeah?
How do you know this?
Who in the 20th
we-
century didn't like him thick?
Dude, so many people wouldn't like them thick. Remember when those Edward Bernays came up with those cigarette things of like, oh, don't grab like a pork roll, grab a cigarette, lucky cigarette. Like there was the entire thing was how girls should be just super skinny. It had
I thought that back in those days, standards, you can slim down from morbidly obese to just plain old obese.
No, back then. But I will.
Every woman that you saw in it was chubby.
I mean, look,
Well, that's because they were.
No, that's not true.
No, they were
dude.
like. I think they were.
That's not
phases.
accurate.
Maybe I'm thinking in the Middle Ages.
Yeah, I think you are.
Well, you know, this is the main problem with Stalin because of his starvation stuff.
But it wasn't
Russia,
stuff.
for the longest
That wasn't
time,
him.
couldn't have chubby chicks because they were all hungry.
Yep.
And I
Does
think
raise
that
a
was a
good point, and
travesty.
Stalin did like them thick.
He did like them.
So where's the communism in that?
There was none.
This is the most fucked conversation.
There was none. He made sure that some of the hottest looking women were never able to realize their potential throughout their life because they didn't have enough brain.
They were anorexic.
Wait, what are you arguing again?
I'm saying.
I don't know.
I'm like,
I don't know.
I'm normally I'm
It's
pro
so hard to
starvation.
tell the difference between Ali and Rick Ross sometimes.
No, it's Ali and
100
fucking,
dead bitches in a 100 dead coffin.
Ali and that like
yeah, that's me.
Afro guy. The what's his name?
Because I
Because
got.
I got hair.
No, they're like, how big's your cat? Come on, tell me. Seriously. I'm from New York.
Stern.
Yeah, Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
Okay, like, was that
Yeah,
it?
that's it.
Was
That's
that
it. So the problem was that Russia has probably the most good-looking women, and because of Stalin's destroying of the rural economy and completely robbing them of the market, there was huge famines for the longest time, and that resulted in women not being able to achieve their true potential in terms of hotness. You know what I'm saying?
Man, this segment is like when John Malkovich went into his own mind.
That's what I
That
feel
was
like.
Ali squared.
That's what I feel like. Yeah.
Anyways, I think I
Talking
won this
about
game.
communism and using that as some weird explanation for sexuality.
Yeah. Who needs shrooms? I'm just taking it. Jesus Christ. That was a fun game, and now I'm just sad and confused.
That's it.
Why are you sad and confused?
I was really looking forward to him arguing it properly. But look,
No, he did argue a That was his argument.
That was my argument.
It was an argument. It was a
If
retarded.
you don't want to take it seriously, that's on you.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
it's a game.
Yeah, I'm the dick.
I
Start taking life more seriously, Miss Love.
Fair. Look, I'm sorry. So is that?
Yeah, that's that. That's that. So they got to come up with who won. I think I won.
Nah, I think so as well. And you know what? I think the audience did too.
No, I think
The audience was the only real loser here, but
What?
I'm
winners.
just kidding. It was fun, wasn't it?
Give us subscriptions if you thought that was fun.
or join
God, we're
The worst.
this
Is
week.
that the worst call out
so-
of all time?
just lose subscribers like boom, 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 0, 0. You have hit 0. Okay, should we? Well, we'll come to that conclusion. Should we move on to the next segment, or should we wait for the results?
Your votes are tallied now. We'll move on because
Yeah, just
that's
tally
how
them.
this train goes.
Just tally him.
It doesn't have a break.
Ali lost.
It does have several
Okay,
breaks. I
some
think we'll be going for
people
one in
think
about
Miss
15
Love
minutes.
lost.
How can you?
I don't know. Who cares? All right. Okay.
Yes.
Damn. Who cares? Who cares?
You know what? To be honest, I don't.
I wish we had a little soundboard that
Should
was
have
like,
been in my
baby,
head.
baby.
Pete, I think you need to do that for the remaining episodes. Just keep that beat going for an hour and a half. You don't need anything else.
That was real synchronizing. Good.
Yes.
You guys should continue. Just is there because I have that African Heartland segment about Congo, but is there anything that you guys want to talk about before that?
Yes, there is. I am sick to death of not completing the 10th season of Seinfeld.
Well, so
Miss
am
Love,
I.
if you would take my hand, I think we should do it.
Okay, but like live now or like write it?
Because we can.
Okay.
We are uniquely qualified to finish that show.
You have not
are.
seen
And
the
it's
show,
just
Jordan.
because-
You haven't seen the show.
I know.
He doesn't
But I
have
know the essence of the show.
Yeah.
You know what? It's just like how you can sum up Breaking Bad the first few seasons as Mr. White, what do we do? Shut up, Jesse. I'm trying to think. Okay, we'll put together some chemicals. That's the whole show. That's the whole show. All
right,
It's
so-
like you can do the same thing with Seinfeld.
Let's do
It's gonna be-
season 10, episode 1 right now.
Episode 2.
Okay, episode 2.
Results before or after?
Yeah, okay,
All right,
let's
give us
go
the
with
results because I forgot about it,
The
frankly.
winner was Jordan.
Oh,
60% of the vote.
Whoa, you guys got creamed.
Just disappeared on me.
And what was the winner's prize
Nothing.
again?
There's no prizes. There's no punishments today.
There's no punishment.
I told you guys. I couldn't think of anything. So
Yeah.
you guys have to come up with something.
There was.
All right, how about this? I
There
get to
was-
pink belly both of you.
There was some suggestions.
Just one
There-
happy whack on the sack.
I don't
Yeah,
think
look,
I
that's
get
fine.
pink belly, bro. I'm too brown for that.
There was
but
some-
You can
there was
try.
some-
I'll give you a go.
They were-
Don't worry.
No.
Yeah.
Look at him. He doesn't
I
like
still
it.
have blood.
Wait, is there a loser, Pete?
Dylan, man.
I think we're both losers.
There was it was so close that I've forgotten the order. Someone had like 21 votes and the other had 19 votes.
Ooh, statistical tie. All right, open up your stubby.
Oh,
Levels
for
up,
fuck's
yeah.
sake. What, I get pink belly now? Wait, is that...
Punishments in a row. How does that feel, honey?
Wait a second. Is this...
Hey, Miss Love, join the club, buddy.
What?
Look at you with your shaved. This is a very gross stomach, but yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Gross.
Well, I don't know. Beep, 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 beep.
Okay.
Let's
Check that out, huh?
Yeah. Stop fucking talking it up.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Happy whack! Surprise!
No, that hurt.
Hey, it's not pink. I think we.
It's gonna get pink. It's gonna get pink. It's gonna
Oh,
get.
my hand hurts.
Look, I'll leave it up a bit so you can see the pinkness.
That was too harsh for someone that lost by
For the
1%.
rest of the podcast as well, as a mark of shame.
No, yeah, for a little bit.
Oh shit! It's red.
Pink.
Well,
We have pink!
I really
For the
thought.
second segment of this podcast, we're talking pink!
I really thought that I didn't lose. How the fuck did Ali beat my fucking attempt? That's absolute bullshit.
I don't know. Don't ask me how democracy works.
Do you want to get a zoom in on that pinkness?
You got it. You got it.
It's not even pink anymore. It's full-blown red.
We got.
He's a lobster.
Got it, did you? That hurt.
Look, it's the same color.
That was an ad for the new Crash Bandicoot. All right. That's
All right, season 9, episode 2.
Ow.
The setting is Miss Love, you're George Costanza, and Jordan,
Right.
you're Jerry Seinfeld.
worse.
George has just come back from a date, and the date was really good. But this was his first date, and he comes back to tell Jerry Seinfeld that I found the one.
This is a lot of pressure to do live, but I like it. This is what the net's all about, you know?
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
In a lot of ways, we've been training our whole lives to do this and to make fun of Scorsese films.
Just run me through the story one more time real quickly.
So you're George Costanza, Jordan's Jerry
What's the
Seinfeld.
storyline?
You just went on a date
Yeah.
for the first time with someone,
Yeah.
and you came back,
Okay.
and you're about to tell Jerry
Yeah.
that she might be the one, and you've like kind of already decided to marry her.
So season 7.
Season 10, episode.
That's
2.
already an episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
And they ran out of ideas, so we are just doing the same episode.
So he's doing.
There's a
it
reason
again.
there wasn't a season 10, Miss
He's
Love.
doing the same thing again.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, that would essentially be a, that's a believable story. Okay. You do the little intro music.
No. Boo, 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 boo,
Oh, wait,
boo,
sorry.
boo, boo.
Yeah.
Biddly-doo.
Wait,
Well, it's
give me
there.
1 sec, because I need to think of a, hold on.
Oh, dude.
Okay, no, I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
Shit, improv. Go on.
Okay. What does he do? Like,
Thanks. Yeah?
yo.
Come on up. Kramer, I told you I'm not going to dress in the chicken suit. No, if you want to dress in the chicken suit, that's your idea. All right, I'll dress in the chicken suit.
You're crazy, buddy. Jerry. Okay. Well, I did it, Jerry.
Did what?
Ho! I've did it!
Oh, you did it all right. Well, you get into the nut house?
Jerry, not that, my friend. Ever since gym class, you and I have been joking about, are we going to find the one? Are you going to find the one? Lord knows it's not going to happen to Kramer. It's not going to happen to Elaine. And it's not happening to you.
Oh, well, thank you for your voting confidence.
I found the one, Jerry. I love her. I'm in love. I don't need anybody else. New York's finally set me up with the woman of my dreams.
George, are you in love?
Where's the champagne, Jerry?
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that you went on one date
and you found the one.
One date.
You found the one?
One date.
That calls for a celebration.
Celebrating
I don't
some time.
know, I don't even know
Celebrate.
what to do when you find a
You
celebrate.
celebrate
What do you
some time.
do in this scenario?
Celebrate.
But should we call your dad? I don't
One
know.
date. One
Do
date.
we do that one day?
That's all I need. One date.
This is stupid. This is really stupid. You
There's
can't
only,
get it from one date.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah,
doing
yeah.
with the one date?
There's
you gotta
only,
go on at least 2 dates to see if it's the one. Isn't that the rule? I always thought that was the rule.
There's
No, you're
only-
writing. You're making new rules. You can't do that, George.
There's only one exception here. There's a slight hiccup. Well, not even a hiccup, but it's something I should probably should have addressed earlier. But it's not a problem.
What's that?
What are the rules on dating someone out of your comfort zone, Jerry?
Out of your comfort zone. Are you talking about out of your league? Because that's pretty much anyone for you, George.
She used to have a penis, Jerry. She used to have a big penis. But I don't care. I love her, Jerry. I love her.
Beep beep. Beep beep beep.
Steve.
Oh, dude. It's the whole show.
I mean, I was watching while, I was enjoying that because I was just like, finally, another season. It's not the easiest to do without the, constant laugh track of just sort of like,
No, but you just have to imagine that.
Exactly. I hope the
I'm
audience.
sure the audience was there.
I hope the audience. I'm really scared to see if that was good or terrible on their.
Yeah,
I
check
think-
that out as well. Because look, the whole point is, it's not that good of a show. That's the whole.
Do you want me to leave?
Yeah, this is better. This is.
It's that.
That was amazing. Yes, so good, amazing.
People like it.
They love it. Everyone liked it. Good, not bad. Good size, not bad. Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, look, I actually want to. That would be an amazing pet. What do you think, Ali? Was that all right?
Yeah, I think it was good. I think it
Petey?
embodied Seinfeld completely.
Petey?
I
Good
was
or bad?
just sad that.
It's like he was there.
And with this furniture, you were.
All right, top work.
I like Superman.
I'll have a bowl of Cheerios.
While we're at it, can you also do season 11 of Friends? I want to see that. as well.
No, I don't know it. I couldn't say anything about it.
Well,
This
should me
is
and
a
Ali do
problem.
it?
I should hang out with Westies and not you.
I could do it. I could do it. Should we do it?
Okay. Well, you gotta give us a setting.
But I don't know the characters well enough. I just have to choose. You'd have to tell me which character.
We'll do it next episode.
All right.
Do some research. Watch 10 episodes of Friends.
Dude, I have watched 10 already. I'm good. But
Can we
Sorry,
just get a poll going on this? A much better sitcom than Seinfeld is Top Gear.
oh, for fuck's sake.
What? Dude, Top Gear apparently is the. Well, first of all, it's not a sitcom, but
It is.
But isn't it the greatest show of all time?
In your mind.
It's like the Shawshank Redemption of shows, isn't it? Top Gear is like
What?
It's the highest rated TV show of all time, I think.
Yeah, because there's so many middle-aged men in England.
And the world.
Yeah, in the world.
I like how my dad's criticism of it. I think about 3 seasons before it went out. Yeah, I don't watch it anymore. Not enough reviews of Cars.
Too much talking about car-related things.
Have you guys seen Top Gear's like those Christmas specials where they like go traveling different places?
Look,
those are funny, man.
The only.
But dude, how could it get any better? It's just Jeremy Clarkson making fun of Richard Hammond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Richard Hammond deserves to be paid out. The George Costanza of Britain. I hate
Which
that
one's
man.
Richard Hammond? Is that the guy that got?
There's a short one.
The midget.
You know he got in a really bad car
dude,
accident
like
and
the-
nearly died.
Good. Oh no! I didn't know he nearly died. No, that's
Dude,
too much.
it was
but
on-
don't you think that like
Yeah, he's
definitely
Cosmically.
Clarkson
Yeah.
would have rung up and just been like, "It's a bit of a shame there, old chap."
Yeah. But dude, the funny thing about
and
it
Connor, that guy. His name isn't Connor. He just looks like your editor.
what the
Connor.
editor?
The third guy. He's basically a Connor.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy that every time I look at him, I just have to double check that it's not Andre Rieu.
Yeah. They just plucked him from like the crowd of Woodstock and just zoop, time traveled him to now.
But man, there was this episode that I was watching, and I think it was just one of the best off-the-cuff remarks I've ever heard. But he was just talking, Richard Hammond, and this is why it's kind of just cosmically right that he was in a bad car crash. Like that man just goes around the world and gets hurt.
I'm sorry. I know it's really bad. I wish he heard that because you can tell he's a very like vain man. That is very. He's a very nice man. That's very unhappy that he basically looks like a hobbit and is quite short. And like hearing that, I reckon would just give him a heart attack. Like he'd just be like, "That's fine. It's not a problem. Now I'm doing shows about science and just die."
I know, shit.
Do you know why?
Back to shit,
did they get-
Mythbusters.
Do you know why Top Gear got cancelled?
Yeah, because of the whole. He said, "What did he say?"
Was
He
it
said
Ellen
something. He said
kind of thing?
No, he said, "Yeah, it was an Ellen kind of thing." But what did he?
No, he was just abusive to a producer.
Oh, that was.
But that was
it.
just a trigger. He was abusive to everybody, and that's why he was the number one guy.
Yeah, but wasn't there also?
reckon there's
he
like-
said something too about, but it wasn't hectic. I think it was just
Was it like a sexist thing?
it was like a very not intense joke that like anyone that lives, half a mile out of in any inner city would just be like, but because
The BBC is in that danger zone.
yeah. Exactly.
The postcode is wrong.
Well, look, there's no jokes here.
But do you think there's like a possibility, and like this also applies to Ellen, where these guys,
You got to tell me about Ellen because it's but go on.
these guys,
Yeah, Arlene knows as
what about Ellen?
Yeah, of
What
course
do you want
you
to
do.
know about Ellen? I've got it all.
But we'll keep going with your
Keep
point.
going and then I'll ask.
No, my thing was like, is there a possibility that like these guys, like Top Gear guys, obviously it's such a successful show, they were like probably on like tens of millions of dollars a year, right?
Pounds.
There's fucking 3 of them. Do you think like they just like start making so much money that that the studio, whoever is producing it, just goes like, actually, we want to start from scratch. We want to
Because
do
they
like
can
a
just
reboot.
live off reruns.
Yeah, they can live off of
And it's also the
reruns.
BBC, so they don't need them.
And they can also like do a reboot, pay someone like
They
a
tried.
fraction of
They
a-
tried to do that.
Many times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They
So
got
do you think
Joey
like, they had
from
nothing?
Friends to be
No.
Jeremy Clarkson?
In England,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
dumb one from Friends being Jeremy Clarkson. How is that going to work?
I don't know.
Yeah, look at Ali. He's definitely considering that. Well,
I
seems
do
like
like
a perfect
Joey.
fit to me.
Dude, the guy would like, what
He'd go into showrooms and he'd be like, "How you doing?"
Oh, it'd be so stupid. He'd be like, "Yo, is this your Pontiac?" No,
No, I
Really, he
really
is-
know that I've aged.
Look, I know
because I
it-
watched American Pie Band Camp the other day and thought, this is just silly. I didn't say stop. But
I said
wait,
stop.
You said stop, and that's most of the reason why I wanted to keep going.
yeah.
But
But Joey's like really knowledgeable about cars. I know that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's really into it. He had like
curveball for you.
hundreds of cars.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, of course he does.
He was also making $1 million
A
an episode.
Guido that likes cars. Wow, what a breed.
No, but the Ellen thing, is she like cancelled?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is she?
Yeah.
No, she can recover from that.
Well, she possibly could, but
'Cause she was
there's like,
mean-
but yeah, she was a dick.
What, because of the
But, like,
pranks? Was it the pranks?
No, not the pranks. Like off stage, like to her producers,
she
to
do?
like her staff.
What did she do?
I
this is
said
one of the things I
dance.
remember.
Come on, that's cosmically right as well.
I listened to this podcast called Flagrant 2, which is the Andrew Schultz podcast. He's taking off, so like I'm sure like most of the people listening know who he is now. But one of the things that he was talking about was, or like the Indian guy on his podcast was saying that he knows a lot of stories about Ellen because he knew friends that had worked for her or whatever.
Yeah.
So these guys were like, so I was listening to this and like, dude, so even before she got canceled, she is a dick. She's one of those people that like was so successful that now she lives in her own world and she thinks like her morality applies to everyone in the world.
But like, what was so
Awesome.
bad?
Her and Gerben Gooley.
yeah, her and so things like apparently she would
She'd
she'd,
throw
like,
hummus at people and be like,
well, even like more egotistical things like don't look into my eyes when you're talking to me.
isn't that the price of being so successful? I don't want to live in a world where you can't do that if you're super successful.
Yeah, but also she did like this
Yeah,
thing
that she
of-
has the same mind frame as absolute monarchs because she was the queen of daytime.
But surely, like, she can do that.
Well, she
Well, she
clearly
could.
could, but then there were other things of apparently her producer was like he got Me Too'd or something. He was hitting on girls, something of that sort. But like I think it was just Ellen. I think Ellen just got too much. Like she was making too much money, and they wanted to get rid of her. I remember.
Does it warrant a
Is she
firing?
gone?
Yeah, dude. I think they've canceled her.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that there was just going to be a culture change.
No.
No, they've canceled her.
But
There
is- do you think it was warranted? Welcome
Well,
back to The
I
View.
don't know what the behind the scenes were, but one of the things I do
I
remember
like
was
talking
like,
about girly stuff.
Ellen
know
put
you
up
do.
this. because I watched the
Ali,
Ellen show
do you think
sometimes.
I could have been pretty? Anyway, sorry.
Oh, dumb. You are pretty.
She did like ethically questionable stuff. So there was
I
this
watched
whole
it too.
debate about whether this one skit of Ellen was psychopathic or normal. So what she did was,
Dude, they were funny, those skits.
but you don't know which one I'm talking
well,
about.
You've just taken over the mantle from me.
One of the things that
Oh, really?
Yes.
What do you mean the mantle?
As if anything Ellen has ever done in her life is funny.
Dude.
No, it's not. People-
He's worse
people
than
pressure
Tom
love.
Ballard and looks a lot like.
Dude, you know what? Apparently,
thought some were
it's so she has this
Sorry, tell
thing
me.
of like. Anyways, I'll tell this like quick skit first, and then because I want to get your
Yeah.
take on it, because there was a debate before she got canceled about it. So what she does is she puts a camera and she's got a table filled with her merchandise, and she puts a board on it saying, "Please take one for free, but only one." So then all of these people come in, their audience, and they take whatever one. Someone takes a cap, someone might take a mug. Then there was this chick that basically like takes a lot. She kind of steals it, but she's got like a camera and the whole audience can see what she's doing. Anyways, when she's sitting in the audience, she puts on that video clip. She calls her out publicly and says that what you did was reprehensible. Not just like the audience, like the whole world
As a
saw this.
joke?
She was
So
legit.
it's literally been like,
So that's
this
what I'm
is-
saying.
so
In her head, her morality was such that everyone. She
That's-
was like a judge,
That's
arbitrator,
pretty
and everything.
fucked. That's pretty fucking considering she's on like $1 billion a year, and the person that took more of the merch probably has like 4 kids and and is a single mum with a shit
Yeah,
job.
and she
Yeah.
fit that all. If you look at her, you'd be like, yeah, you've got 4 kids
That's
and you're
pretty.
a single mom.
That's fucked. It's like don't take more of.
But she
don't
didn't
take
realize
more
that-
of my Ellen merch.
She didn't
Trash,
think it was a
basically.
problem at all in her head. In her head, she was like, "Oh, this is kind of funny, and I'm doing
So
good."
she's kind of a psychopath.
She thinks like she used to think, or that whatever she does is making society better. And so she would go to like any stretch. So for example, calling this person out for stealing a mug in her head, because she has $1 billion, she doesn't think like stealing mugs it should be important. So she could publicly call someone out for it and make the entire world look at her. Dude, she probably felt like a criminal at that point because she did steal shit, but it was
Yeah.
a mug.
That is pretty insane.
That, and then like apparently she has this thing of you probably saw this where she would scare her guests.
That was mad.
But like apparently a lot of the guests knew it was coming, but because they were so afraid, or like she would do it with her staff members.
Yeah.
And their staff members knew like, oh, here we go, Ellen's gonna sneak up on me. Like, oh my God, you scared me
they'd
so much,
fake
Ellen.
it.
Yeah, they fake it.
Oh, that's lame too. All right.
Wait, what's that got to do with her being a psychopath?
Just like you've got that vibe, like, dude, so you've got some stuff, right? You've got like editors, whatever. But if you do that
Do think I'm a
faking thing,
god?
no, but they don't. Like
You are Ellen.
like I can totally see them being like, Jordan, first of all, that's not funny. Secondly, I knew you were gonna do it.
Dude, the only person
Having that relationship with your boss where like there's no fucking way you can even
the only
say
person
that
gets-
you're
Right,
playing.
right,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like it's a
Oh,
dictator-like
true.
environment.
Plus, you get pranked anyway. It's you mainly that get pranked. Like, remember
Yeah.
when me and Christo,
Yeah.
when I just got
And
drunk?
they tell me what to do. It's the weirdest.
I think everyone
That
like
means
this.
you're not a psychopath, you know? Like you
Yeah,
still
yeah.
consider people that work for you as, you know, relatively equal.
I got drunk and hid under a
I
bed.
myself a doormat.
Remember that one where when I got drunk and then hid under a bed? Scared you. I'm Ellen. Do you remember that?
You are a holy shit.
Dude, I can't
Takes
believe
off his beanie.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's weird how people think like that's a joke where they like intimidate someone. You go like, wow, it's funny, right?
It is funny. But I mean,
Look. People were saying that we're like 15-year-olds hanging out.
yeah, Ellen.
That is as 15-year-old as it
yeah, that is very.
Look at you, fat.
Yeah,
You
but it is
retard.
definitely lame. It is, in fact, it's fucking sad that the staff knew and had to pretend. Like that's
that's incredibly sad.
really fucking lame. Like, oh, you got me. Yeah, like yeah. All right, screw her.
Yeah. Well,
But I was always thinking this from the very beginning.
What do you mean?
Even before I knew
A
any
deep
of this.
dive in-
Through Ellen.
Really? Why?
but dude, like, dude,
Because like, how much of a poor substitute is she for Oprah, let alone Ricky Lee?
Who's
bring
Ricky
her back.
Lee?
Ricky Lee.
No, Ricky Lake. That was her name.
Who's that?
No,
Ricky
I like
Lee.
Wendy Williams.
That chick from Australian Idol / massive daytime talk show host from the night.
What, she should get Ellen's job.
imagine Ricky
Do you know who's
Lee-
getting Ellen's
That
gig?
she should get Ellen's job. She really should.
Do you know who's getting Ellen's gig though?
Oh, Kevin Hart, probably.
No, you guys don't know.
Like, guess,
Apparently,
guess.
stay tuned. Ellen Show. I don't think it's confirmed,
Megyn
but like the
Kelly.
conjecture is that the Ellen Show is going to be hosted by James Corden.
Oh, he's got a show.
Yeah, but they're gonna give him.
Hey, replacing one lesbian with another.
Oh God,
But in-
that
in-
guy's so.
In Ellen's
Like
defense,
James Corden sucked.
I've got to
The
say
most
something in
satisfying
Ellen's
thing in my
defense.
life was listening to
let's
Ricky
hear it.
Gervais just acknowledging that James Corden sucked.
Nah, but he's tore him apart pretty. Oh right.
Dude,
I'm
everyone
just
thinks
so
he's
glad that somebody is willing to point out that the emperor has no clothes.
Dude, Bill Maher hates James Corden.
Does
You
he?
know about their beef?
Oh yeah, because he's
Like,
yeah,
because Bill Maher essentially
Yeah,
came
the
like,
fat-
new rule: fat people suck.
Yeah.
And then James Corden was just like, that was so hard.
And James Corden got really political, and of
Yeah.
course that's a popular opinion in the US because
but like-
they're fatter than women in the 20s, as is my knowledge.
But Bill Maher like doubled down on him. He was like, "You are killing yourself."
Yeah, that's
Didn't
mad.
do it on his show though. I think he should have.
He did it on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Detail.
Yeah.
He was saying like how you had an opportunity, James. You could have turned that around and been like, hey, Bill's right. Let's all do some exercise.
In fact, comments below. Is Bill Maher ever wrong on anything?
Hey, he's wrong about that.
don't know.
They have feelings too, you know. We fat people have feelings too, you know.
Yeah, but
I
funny to make fun of him.
I don't.
It is. Dude, you know what being fat as a kid did for me? And I'm not kidding. Being fat as a kid, because like you're such a vulnerable target, you need to be so on point with your comeback.
Sharpened you.
Like it
Sharpened you.
makes you more intelligent. You know how people say fat people are funny? It's because they were always afraid of being bullied. So they knew what to say at that point. They knew the comebacks, and that like increased my social standing at school. Being fat has its advantages too.
You heard Ross Noble's classic comeback? It
that
is
that-
the best heckler put down I've ever heard in my life.
Is Ross Noble like that? It's like I'm Irish, or maybe I'm Scottish. Ooh.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. That's his whole
exactly.
fucking act.
Am I from this dimension or not? You are from this dimension, aren't you? Yeah, but my hair's a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm an
Yeah.
ugly Russell Brand.
Yeah, I'm pale Northern Russell Brand. Yeah.
Grew up in the same house, just lived in the basement.
The only different opinion is I think Buddhism sucks.
Yeah. And I'm not funny.
Yeah, there's that.
Well,
as well.
to be
But
fair,
so
is
neither
Russell Brand funny?
Yeah, fair. True. You got me there.
Russell Brand, like I don't mind Russell Brand, but like you can say a lot about him, but like being funny is not one of them. I think.
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I don't think he's
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's like semi-intelligent as well.
Fuck,
But
his voice is annoying though. I hate that accent. Like, yeah, I'm going down to 10
Sounds like he has the same accent as virtually every British woman on Tinder.
Is you bothered?
Is you bothered?
True.
What's all that about? But yeah, Ross Noble used to be fat. And he went up on stage once and somebody said, "How come you're so fat?" Yelled it out. And his response was, "'Cause every time I fuck your mum, she gives me a biscuit."
That's pretty good.
Great, right?
Pretty good. I like that.
yeah, shit like that.
What
Well,
were you going to
yeah.
say about, you had one more point about Ellen though.
Yeah, in Ellen's defense, I do understand why she thinks she's God. Dude, like to give her credit,
Yeah,
she
she's
was
rich.
she was a lesbian that had already made a living, and then she was in the closet. Then she came out, and apparently this is what I've been told. The literature suggests she lost all of her audience. She had to build an entire new audience.
No, she didn't have to start from scratch.
Okay, then I take
She
it
was Ellen DeGeneres.
Right. Why was she so popular? She
And
was such a good
dude,
stand-up.
let's be honest. Everyone just mistook her for Will Ferrell in Elf. That's why. So they just kept hiring her on. Well, she tell about your new movie.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
So really, so the whole
Sure,
thing
that's
about like
accurate, yeah.
her deserving respect because she like built this massive show after like losing everything. So it was like she basically, they say that she swam against her tide, and so I'm thinking if that's true, then like why wouldn't you think you're God?
But dude,
like,
you know
can
what?
do whatever the fuck you want.
If she gets axed, it's not, or she has been axed. It's not like her comeback isn't like, you know, as hard as like Louis C.K.'s will be. It's not. She didn't like wank in front of people. Like
No, what she did was much worse.
Well, morally, yeah, but not in terms of like the
The public perception, though, will change.
Dude, are you saying that the public perception is that Ellen did something much worse than Louis C.K.?
No, I'm saying that the public perception is the opposite.
but it should be that Ellen did
Sure,
something
but it's
worse.
not. Yeah, sure, fine. If you think that, but
worse is a relative.
But that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Like people, like dude, it's a lot easier for Ellen to just be like, "I'm sorry, I jumped out in a wig in front of you." Like, dude, she'll probably get a Netflix special in 3 months. Louis C.K., I don't know.
Yeah, but she's
if
got a
He'll ever? Will he die before he gets
Dude,
in front of a
we just
camera?
saw his new special.
True.
He came out with a new special.
True, but
Come out on Netflix.
didn't come out.
It
and-
wouldn't, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. There's like this whole.
That's
theory
true. That's
about
true, actually. It
how
doesn't matter. It doesn't
The
matter.
reason why Louis C.K. got outed was because because even before, like him jerking, like the stories of him jerking off came out, he had his own website. Like I bought shit off of his website directly. So there was this whole thing of like there was this army of people that were protecting him, and as soon as he started to cut away these like booking managers, and then eventually like Netflix people,
They Epsteined it.
yeah, they Epsteined him. They were like, fuck it. There's no point for you to exist now.
Wow. Whoa. You're blowing my mind.
But I don't know.
I can't believe Hollywood's shady.
Can't believe there's even one person that tells lies in Hollywood.
But like this is a question. This is a moral question. On one hand, you've got Ellen, right, who doesn't jerk off in front of people. Let's assume, I don't know, but let's assume that she's never been like Me Too'd or there's been none of that, right? She's
Yeah.
got a clean record in terms of that. But she's a cunt in day-to-day life. She like bullies her staff. She thinks she's God. Like just hanging out with her is horrible. Then you've got Louis C.K. that like jerks off in private in front of women, but then like he seems like a very nice guy, and everyone that's ever met him says that even the girls that he jerked off in front of, they thought that it was weird, but they never said that he's a bad guy or he forced them to do any.
Yeah, exactly. And Louis C.K., without a doubt, would not count rub and tugs as cheating. He's a good dude.
Take that to the bank. But what are you asking?
What I'm saying is like, what's worse?
Yeah, well, look, dude, let's be honest. Hollywood is full of narcissistic, vapid people that virtue signal. They're not like the bastions of morality. It's like whatever is whatever appears to be more sinful.
Their morality is just based off advantage.
Yeah. And like, it's a brutal, like, it's a stark reality, but like, it's just, like, I'm sorry, like you don't. Like, I hate to like draw the line so brutally, but like you're either on one side of the line or the other side, and it's like, how narcissistic and self-obsessed are you? And you don't have to just be in media or in Hollywood. They exist everywhere.
Yeah, but if you're rich and successful, then your things are confirmed that you're definitely really cool, and you probably are.
Then you start getting a god complex.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Preordained.
Like, I'm just rambling. It's just I just hate like I don't know. Like those personality
it's really
traits
scary
suck.
looking at all the cuts at the Golden Globes and the Oscars and seeing everybody in the audience with that plastered smile.
I just don't.
They're all like that.
I just.
So right, there's not a good one there.
I just feel like
You hang out with like a lot of Australian celeb showbiz people. Do you think they're like more narcissistic than like the average?
The average person, yeah.
100%. Are you more
Yeah.
narcissistic since becoming famous? Since the average person?
he didn't need a change. He was
No, but
already
I
there.
read a lot of self-help, and that's why I'm an enlightened being, and you should check out Jordan Shanks, which I'll start monetizing soon.
Yeah, well,
And just as like someone
Start- how
who
about
knew Jordan before being famous, if you think he is a little narcissistic, I can assure you he was that even before.
he hasn't changed.
He hasn't changed.
Yeah, but that's what drives you to that point in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
can't-
like,
True, yeah.
You're not going to make it in Hollywood. In fact, I know this from, I'm not allowed to say the names because we had to bleep out a whole thing on it, but
Baz Luhrmann.
Baz Luhrmann's part of that team. But that guy was doing well in Hollywood, and now he lives back in Australia. And even though he doesn't get any roles because there is no industry in Australia, he's way happier than he was in Hollywood. And that guy was making $500,000 a year out of acting.
Damn.
It wasn't like he was at the top of the food chain, but he hung out with the people at the top of the food chain. He was going to dinners with Ridley Scott and all the movers and shakers, your Michael Bays, all of that, right? Michael Bay,
Your Spike
the world's
Lees.
best advertiser. And so, yeah, he was hanging out with all of them. And he just said that every single one of them is a detestable human being
and much worse than what you would expect. Extremely cutthroat. And he doesn't even use the word narcissist. He uses sociopath. He said that every single one of them would kill you in an instant for a role.
Is that everyone in entertainment?
You know what? I recently saw.
Yeah,
a
it is.
doco
But the thing
about
is,
this.
it's all relative, right? In Australia, you cannot get that big of a head because you can't make $1 billion a year hosting Studio 10.
No,
I recently saw a documentary which was about, do you have to be an asshole to be a leader? And actually, Michael Bay was
Yes.
in that documentary because Michael Bay apparently is a known asshole.
Why did they use him as the test study? Let's look at Michael Bay's life.
The guy who made the documentary was like, he kept pestering Michael Bay for an interview, and because the guy who made it is he's not an A-list. I can't remember his name. He's not an A-list director or anything, but he's like a B/B- kind of guy. So he has access to certain people. So he has access enough to like be able to like talk to Michael Bay, but Michael Bay was really apprehensive because he was like, the documentary was titled "How Do You Have to Be an Asshole to Be a Leader," and eventually he ended up talking to Michael Bay. But like, you know what the thing? So Michael Bay
It's
was
just self-evident. He made Pearl Harbor. He's a piece of shit.
why? Why is Pearl Harbor that bad?
That's just another one of those.
Pro-America.
I'm going to go in. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's the one who directed Transformers, right? Yeah,
Probably.
the Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, because it was him. But hey,
well,
the
yeah,
consensus.
human beings are complex.
Bumblebee.
Like Transformers, they change.
So it was.
Come on, sorry, but the end credit to I think Transformers 2 greatest moment in filmic history.
Play it out. It's so good.
You know, it's this Linkin Park does the end song to it, so brilliant enough as it is. But I'm pretty sure it's just from memory, and it's really hard to remember Transformers films. But there's just something along the lines of, "Where to now, Bumblebee? Well, I guess our next adventure is just along the horizon." They just drive off in Bumblebee, and then it just goes, "What have done?" and puts on Michael Bay's
Erase myself.
Linkin Park cutting out of a Transformers film. It's 15-year-old heaven.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Your wet
better than
drink.
that.
So annoying.
Why?
I just nuke LA.
Yeah, nuke LA. Needs to happen. But if it's a choice between Newtown and LA, Newtown.
Oh Jesus!
fair.
Our old school.
They'll accept it.
But yeah, go on.
Nothing. I was the documentary about like do you have to be, because the guy who was making it was saying how he's not an asshole, and everyone says that you need to be an asshole on set to be taken seriously because people are gonna. So he went on this like entire quest and he talked to like Michael Bay and psychology. Anyway, the consensus of like the ending of that documentary was that you don't have to be an asshole all the time, but you need to be an asshole some of the times.
Right.
That was it. So it'll save you some time. Can we move on to Ollie's African Heartland?
I mean, what an anticlimax to that documentary.
Well, there's a lot more
So
in
many
it.
documentaries are like that, aren't they? And then the bear hibernates. Well, I knew that.
Yeah, I hate that shit. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like
But then there's like
That's life,
styles
isn't it?
of because he ended up like talking to other directors too, like the guy who directed Ace Ventura and stuff, who's known to be like a really nice guy, and he's also a successful director.
yeah. So it's just bullshit.
So he was like, "How do you
Why
do
is
it?"
directing the pinnacle of leadership?
Because he is a director, the guy who made it.
Look,
So
I
it
would-
was like he's very self-absorbed, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean,
But he talked to like corporate people too. What are your strategies? Do you have to be an asshole?
they
sometimes?
probably do, and politicians
It was
probably do
actually-
as well. But I think like directors like lesser to a lesser extent, and like I would like to think musicians even less. I would like to think like you don't have to be a fucking dick all the time. And
No, you don't have to be, and that was also one of the things. Like being Michael Bay can work, but it doesn't. Like there's other ways to do it.
I mean, it is an interesting subject, but it's like at the same time, part of me is like, dude, that shit is just fucking random. The questions you should be asking are like how to get successful, and like I think this.
That's all.
That's it. Yeah. How to be successful. Not like
That is the only question.
But that's what he's
that
trying to get
permeates
at,
Mislov's mind.
pretty much.
But
yeah.
that's what he's trying to get at. He's like, do I have to be an asshole to be successful?
I don't think you do. It's like,
But like
it's
that's not the
but
consensus of the documentary. The consensus was like, dude, everyone, even the nicest people, like you talk.
Isn't hard work more important though? For instance,
No,
Right.
it's like even the guys that were really nice, and you could tell they're really nice. He would like interview them, and they're like, "How are you able to like make successful movies? How are you able to like get all of these people to listen to you?" And they were like, "Yeah, we had to learn when not to be that nice, when to be there." So they were saying like, you need to like, it's a carrot and sticks kind of situation.
So-
there are
so-
points where I'm go like, no, shut the fuck up, and do as I say.
nothing about hard work. They were just like, shut up about
Dude,
that.
that's a given. Like, there's
Right,
no
right.
fucking success without hard
Jesus,
work.
that is not how I run my business.
Yeah.
I'm just trampled all over.
I'll send you that documentary. Maybe you should watch
Oh,
it.
fuck off.
It'll help you.
Miss Love, teach me how to not be acceptable of people.
Okay, when someone starts to do the thing where they roll the carpet out, say, hey, do that in your own house.
This guy should have been interviewed.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, we'll move on, but should we go to a break first?
Let's just.
Look, I'll be
Come
honest. I
on.
need to go to the toilet.
Okay, let's do a break.
Well,
we'll
look,
be back from like a quick.
I mean, it is a
1 minute
political
break.
thing. We need a break.
Welcome back to more Bayhem, where we just learned that Michael Bay calls action Bayhem, a la Gus.
And I also-
Boys, discuss. What are your thoughts? Should we change the word, or at least put it in the thesaurus? I'm really up for it.
I'm kind of guilty about something. I think that guy may not have been Michael Bay, and it would have been another director called Peter Berg, but who knows? Only slander the poor guy. Maybe it wasn't him. But anyways, it could have been him.
I think every film of his should be wiped from history and just replaced with The Great Escape. So every time you put on Transformers, it's just The Great Escape plays.
Yeah.
Did you? I read someone like, because
I'm down for that, man.
Cool.
a film critic or someone, I can't remember who it was asked like, because he would always shit on these shitty movies, and he would say the same thing, like just remove them from history, right?
Yeah.
And one of the guys was like, why do you hate shitty movies that much? Like there's clearly an audience out there.
Yeah.
Why does it trigger you? And he was saying like 500 years from now, when people are going to look back at 2020 and try to understand what things were, and they watch Transformers, they're going to have the wrong idea.
That's a fair point.
No, they'll have the right.
They'll have the right
They'll have
idea.
the right idea.
Dude, no, that's so true though. Like, and another point too is like, you know, douchey art point, but it's like, sure, sometimes like big cheesy movies are enjoyable, but there should be a limit that is allowed to be made, like a quota that's like, you can't make fucking Transformers 11 or Fast and the Furious 12.
25.
You have to stop. There has to be a yearly quota, because it's like at a certain point, creative endeavors are supposed to like challenge your perspectives and move you, not just be like, bro, big explosions.
The guy who
Well, if
loves
that's the
Seinfeld
case, it should
says.
stop at Transformers 2,
Seinfeld's
shouldn't
the
it?
highest of art.
What?
I said Seinfeld's the
I
highest.
said the
of
guy
art.
who
No,
likes
it's not.
Seinfeld.
Jackass
says-
is.
Jackass clearly is.
Well, Jackass, yeah, that's all mad. Like, you know. Anyway, I don't know.
Okay, can we move on to the Democratic Republic of Congo? I can't remember who suggested we do this.
Michael
Don't we
Bay.
I think it was
don't we
Jack.
do this every 2 weeks? Talk about the fucking Congo. It's always just like the two.
He's already annoyed.
the tutti fruities. Now go on, let's have
Okay,
fun with it. Come
look,
on, jump in.
I admit,
Which ones are
Congo
bad?
is the name of the bird on Fruit Loops packets.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Which
I
one's bad this
probably.
week? The Tooties or the Hutus? Which one's the bad one?
No, it's
Change the
called
Fruities or the Fruities.
you know. So I was actually talking to Jordan about this, and I have this thing of
This is like the Howard thing for me again. It's just like, let's talk about. No, I'm just,
yeah.
You don't like talking about the Tooties and the Fruities?
I've just got my limit.
I know My Little Conies.
Like 70 a year. All right, come on, let's do it.
So one of the things that I thought was like, you know, nations build their own future, and this victim stuff is all bullshit. But dude, I got into the Congo, and man, these guys are fucking victims, dude. Like they are not responsible for a lot of
Wait
this
a
stuff.
sec. Are you talking about Rwanda though?
I'm talking about Congo.
That's not
No,
Rwanda.
Rwanda is not a victim. Now,
Oh, my bad. So you're not talking
Look,
about Rwanda.
No.
Oh,
after we just talked about celebrities with a narcissism complex, can I just say, boys, we are woke as fuck. Seriously.
Yeah.
The fact that we are sitting there, and now when I look at Hotel Rwanda, I just see nothing but propaganda.
And if you think Jordan's fucking lying, listen to this story, which is about Congo, but you will see why he's actually right, because Rwanda is actually their neighbor.
So tell us.
There's that, but also the distinction, which Congo are we talking about?
We're talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was known as Zaire back in the day, which changed, I think, in the 90s, the name. So
And can I just ask as well, do you like the president?
the current president, well, there's a fucking civil war, and like there's millions of people that die every day, and which president
over
are you
there,
talking about?
There's a civil war going on in Syria, and I'm a huge fan of Assad. I think he's my favorite.
Yeah,
leader.
but like with Congo, it's way more fucked, dude. Okay, so we'll get to that, but can I just like quickly start off with like how we found Congo, or like how Europeans came into contact. So the first time Europeans ever discovered. So Congo is in Central Africa, but it's almost towards the west. And the interesting thing about it is, even though it's in the middle, the tributaries of Congo River go all the way to the Atlantic. So you can essentially
is the heart of darkness.
Damn.
that is also that'll come. So the first time Europeans ever found out about Congo was by the Portuguese. The Portuguese would go around the Atlantic because they were some of the first people that had those maritime influence. They could go around, and what they noticed was at the Atlantic Ocean, where all the Congo River meets the ocean, was that there's like meters, like actually, so huge swaths of water bodies that was completely different from the rest of the sea. The color of it was completely different. So what they knew was, which now we know were because of silt deposits, because Congo is very mineral rich. But at the time they didn't know, but it was good enough for them to be interested in it. So then they started following it. And then they went into Congo, but they stopped. They couldn't go any further because what they found were these massive cataracts, like these waterfalls that they have never seen before. The Congo River is the largest river in the world after Amazon. It's huge. And these cataracts that they couldn't go up tells you a lot about this country, which is barely able to supply itself with electricity. But if those waterfalls are harnessed, those waterfalls could supply electricity to all of Africa today.
It would just be what's the Black Panther place called?
Franklin Dam.
What?
What are you talking about?
The Black Panther place. It's like, welcome to Ekandria or some shit.
Wakanda.
Yeah. So it'd just be Wakanda.
Fuck.
It is.
Speaking of shit.
It is Wakanda.
Anyway, sorry.
It is Wakanda if like it had a proper government. You know,
Yeah.
Like it's just a total lost Wakanda. So anyway, so that's how the Portuguese found that place out. That was their first European interaction with Congo. But then they couldn't go up, and then they went back. Then comes this crazy character. His name was King Leopold II of Belgium. King Leopold comes into power around the mid-19th century, so just after the American Civil War. He's 36 years of age, 35 years of age, so he's still relatively young to be a king. But this guy, King Leopold, is such an interesting character because he's probably one of the most evil people that you can ever remember, and he's also one of the most interesting because, so first of all, he's the king of Belgium, but he hates Belgium.
Really?
He hates people from Belgium.
What?
Because he thinks it's something like, I can't remember the French expression, but it's called like something petite. Well, but he's like, small country, small minds. And he's the king of this country. So then he's thinking that he's also become the king at a time where the monarchy is kind of losing power. The parliaments are growing. There's more democratic movements, and he hates it. He's like, what's the point of being a king when you have to deal with these parliamentarians all the time?
Very cool.
So he hates it, and he hates Belgians in general, and he's very annoyed by the fact that his country is too small. He's like, this country is way too small. So then he thinks that he's like, okay, we've got to build a colony, and he decides that Africa is the place where they should expand into. So then he goes up to like his parliament and he says, I've come up with an idea. Let's colonize Africa. And Belgium, these parliamentarians, like, there's a problem though. We don't have a navy. We don't even have a merchant navy. We don't even have we're not a colonizing force. Like, we're a small, shitty country.
Do they even have a coast?
They do.
have a coast.
Right,
They have a
right,
coast,
okay.
but they didn't have like any kind. They didn't even have a merchant navy. So then King Leopold's like, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You guys suck. You're small-minded people." He's like, "Fuck you guys. I'll make the colony on my own." So
The
what
Tony
he
Robbins
does,
of Belgium.
what he does is he finds, and then he sends like these people that go up to Africa and they scout what is Congo. Weirdly, what King Leopold's territory of Congo is almost exactly what today's DRC is, Democratic Republic of Congo. So then he goes up.
Was it bolstered by the French and British on all sides?
Well, yes, but not this part. This part was kind
Why
of like,
didn't they colonize it?
because it was hard to get to, and they didn't realize the potential it has. King Leopold found out much later that, dude, this is the place to be. So he sends his people, and so what he says is like, fuck you guys. He tells the Belgian parliament that, fuck you guys, you don't understand what's up. And in fact, I'm glad that you guys said this, because this is not going to be a Belgium state. This is going to be my own state. So he's the first guy in the world to have a personal colony just to himself. So he sends these people. He sends these like people to like what is Congo now, and they go up to the rivers and they sign these treaties with local Congo people who are completely illiterate, don't know what these treaties are about.
Had they had contact with Europeans?
No. These guys were very so okay. So Congo was so just a little bit before King Leopold takes it. Congo was famous for, it was the biggest slave supplying area for Brazil. If you go to Brazil and you meet any black person, there's a very, very strong chance that they're from Congolese ancestry. So what they would do
Okay,
is,
so they knew about it, and slave traders would go in,
Yes.
raid it, go out.
yeah, well, slave traders wouldn't. Yeah, slave traders would raid it. They would actually just like go to these because of the Congo River. It was such a fertile place that there were a lot of these colonies that lived on those riverbeds. So they would just like they would literally go fight them. They would lose because these were kind of peace-loving people. They just chilled next to the waterfall, and then they would just capture most of the men, and they would take them to the Atlantic Ocean, and they would be shipped mostly to Brazil. And this particular part was, and it was brutal. Like you've seen like Roots and shit. And if you want to know more about this, Friday morning there's going to be a Holsworthy live video that's going to address this. But so anyway, so that what's happened. But like by the time King Leopold comes into power, it's after the Civil War, so the slave trade has kind of pretty much ended, even in Brazil at the time. So then what he does is he goes on, he signs these treaties with these local people who don't know what the fuck they're signing. They're completely illiterate. It's that Dave Chappelle joke where, he was talking about the Native Americans and he says,
Some
do you want to, do you want to,
Manhattan? Was that it?
no, it was like, do you want to, so they, like his joke was like white people go up to these Native Americans and say, we want to buy this land. And because that's such an absurd thing today, they're like, do you want to deal for the sky as well? Like, you idiot. So they were like, 100%. Buy land. What a weird idea.
Yeah.
So they couldn't understand what he was talking about. So then they basically, King Leopold, what he discovers very early on is that he lucked out hard, because when he took over Congo, he found out that it's like there's already an inbuilt railway system there. Because there's so many tributaries of the Congo River that they all connect to each other and they all flow towards the Atlantic Ocean. So it was like he had an entire network of logistics already in place. So the first thing that he does is he starts to extract ivory from Congo. Ivory was obviously, it was like the plastic of back in the day.
Brutal.
It was,
And yes, like most, I've dealt a little ivory.
Yeah.
and
What's that? Bro.
Just the,
Sorry.
are you an ivory dealer? I'm a little girl. I've had a lot of jobs in my life. Shield clubber, bear skinner, president of the Fox Network. And like most people, I've dealt a little ivory.
The pen's a toss. Yeah.
So the good thing, ivory is like
Fox.
ivory is like drugs. It's really light and it has high value. So then he just started to like cull these elephants. But then he went to so he goes to Western Europe and he tries to register his colony as a legitimate European colony. So these guys are
do
sitting
that?
there. They're like, okay, so this particular area of Central Africa is now Belgian controlled. And he was like, King Leopold was like, no, that's not what I said. It's controlled by me.
Who's he saying this to?
He's talking to UK, he's talking to Germans, he's talking to like all of these Western forces that are already colonizing Africa. So he's just saying, I already got
So is
this
that how
place.
you go there and you just say this is official land and you have to go to every king or parliament in Europe?
Well, they would have like I don't know, like their version
concert
of
of
like
nations.
the J20 or something at the time.
Right.
So he was just over there and he was saying,
Run by that little guy.
so basically,
Richard Hammond.
Everyone gets a Porsche.
so he basically says
Secretary
this is
General.
my personal colony, and there's obviously all the other countries like Germany, France are just like confused, like, okay, so it's not your countries, it's yours.
Owned by a single person.
It's owned by a single guy, King Leopold. So
Like, even Alexander the Great was behaving on behalf of a country.
yeah. This guy was not, and he kind of hated his country.
Yeah, that's bizarre. This is better than a Michael Bay movie, I'll tell you that much.
So then he starts getting these ivories, but what he pitches his land as is like this paradise where like King Leopold is this benevolent guy who's bringing the Congolese people into civilization, and he said he's unlike all of the countries that are colonizing, like the French and the German, because he's a very wholesome guy. No one had access,
What does benevolent mean?
like a gracious,
Nice.
nice. Yeah.
Right.
So, but no one has access to what the fuck is going on over here. What he's basically doing is he's using these local Africans through forced labor. So he's essentially forcing them to work, which is pretty fucked. But it gets way worse.
Is he
So
paying them?
Not a single cent. He's using
they were
he's using
slaves?
them as they were his slaves.
Slaves, yeah.
They were his slaves, and then this gets weird because so what happens is slowly then they invent the rubber tire for cycles.
Dang.
So all of a sudden, there's this massive demand for rubber. And if you have access to rubber, you can get real rich real quick. The thing is, like, rubber trees take like 15, 20 years to grow. But Congo has a fuckload of them.
Really?
So King Leopold's like, this is literally my gold mine. Then he starts to extract rubber. But the problem with rubber is that it's very labor intensive. Being able to like get rubber from these wild trees
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how they do it.
is you apparently like it's like getting honey. It's like
Yeah,
you find
yeah,
these vines,
sap it. It's like
but
a
they're
molasses.
scattered. They're scattered all over the rainforest. So then he's saying, so then like Leopold's like, because no one knows yet, but he's forcing people to do it. So he's now afraid that they're just gonna run away. Because how are you going to be able to like look at all of them in these dense rainforests? So what he did was he decided that every time he was going to send a group of forced laborers to get it, he's going to enslave their women and children. And if they don't come back with the quota, then he's going to kill the women and children. That's
Fair.
how he ensured that they bring back rubber. And he started to mint money. At this point, because Belgium is a Catholic country and most of the people are Catholic, and he kind of hates Belgians, the only people that he allows into Congo are Protestant missionaries. He's somehow cool with them. So these missionaries go into the Congo to like make people Christians, but what they soon realize is that this place is fucked. Like these guys are like legitimately incredibly oppressed, and no one in the world knows about this. No one knows what's exactly happening there. They try to report it. They try to like publish it in like these missionary journals. They were mostly from the U.S., but they're just like random missionaries. No one really paid attention to them, so it's still relatively unknown. Then what happens is, in England, King Leopold gives a monopoly of distributing all of the rubber and ivory to the UK. And this company, who I think it was called Liverpool something company, they hire a guy who they need someone who can speak French and English to be able to do this. Who just needs to go there every week to make sure that the consignments that are coming from Congo have all of the materials that King Leopold is, and they're making like a killing out of it. So he goes there, but he noticed something like something peculiar. When he sees all of these ships coming, they're filled with riches, with ivory, infinite amounts of rubber, cash cows. But whenever they go back to Africa, they're empty. he's like, why are these empty? They would always like only have like a few weapons. Because usually trade happens when they're like, if you bring something in, then you've got to give something back to them. Otherwise, what's the point? So then he goes up to like his chairman of the company, and he says, look, I don't know what's going on in Congo, in King Leopold's Congo, but I do know that it's got something to do with forced labor. Because there's no way that all of this is coming without them wanting anything. They would want something from us. The chairman's just like, yo, just shut the fuck up. Because we're making a killing out of it. King Leopold is our best client.
So he was selling it to them, right? So
Yeah. He was selling rubber and ivory to them.
But in that case, doesn't that make sense? He sells them the ivory, they pay him?
Yeah, to King Leopold. But
Yeah.
there's nothing going back to Congo. Usually what you would do is when you would make these deals with like local tribal chief, they're like, okay, but you've got to give us like fucking gold or
Oh,
something.
right,
you
I
know?
see, yeah.
That's a trade.
Yeah, I get you.
These guys were enslaved,
No,
all of them, so there was nothing that they required.
Yeah.
So then
Prison planet.
so then he's like, he goes up to, and then he eventually quits his job because he feels that by this time he's 100% sure that there's forced labor going on in Congo. He can't prove it, so he quits his job and he feels guilty to have participated in it. So then he makes like the rest of his like 10, 15 years solely trying to figure out what exactly is happening in Congo and how he can bring more light to it. So anyway, so King Leopold, and then the world eventually finds out what's happening there. And it's just brutal. Like that book, what was the book called?
Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad.
The basis for Apocalypse Now for those playing at home. Ooh.
Joseph Conrad was in the Congo around 1870s. And his book, according to like one of the historians, is most likely based on King Leopold's Congo.
Right.
And it's because there's like things of there's this one episode there's one section of the book where he talks about these severed heads on the boundary of this guy's house, and so everyone talks about like what kind of symbolism does that mean. This historian was like, no, there was no symbolism. There was like a legit guy. And Joseph Conrad met him. He can't prove it, but he can look at their itineraries and are at the same time. It's like these guys were in the same room, and there were basically 100 white people in all of Congo at the time. So it's very unlikely that they didn't meet. So those stories are real. They're not even fake.
Damn.
Anyway, so the word gets out eventually that this is just a massive gulag.
Wait, so he enslaved an entire country with 100 people?
Yes, and the way he did this was
What a cheapskate.
they were constantly rebellions all the time against King Leopold. But what was happening was they had like some weapons from like the slave trade days, these like old muskets. This guy was making so much money, he was hiring mercenary fighters and he was able to control them. Then he would hire local African Congolese men to mine these expeditions that would go on to get rubber. But he was so afraid that they're gonna eventually launch a mutiny and all of these guns and bullets that they were giving these people to mine are gonna be used against him. So he made a rule. The rule was if you
The
fire
hand thing.
the hand thing.
I know about that too.
You fire a single bullet, you need to bring a hand.
Oh,
So a lot of
man.
times they would like miss or whatever. So then they would have to cut off a random villager's hand. And to bring it that like, yeah, he killed someone.
Wait, what? So even if
Because he
people
didn't-
doing his bidding would
Yeah.
miss someone else.
Yeah.
And they would
then they would have to go to a random village to cut off someone's hand to bring that.
Jesus.
Because what he was afraid was that they're stockpiling these bullets to eventually go against him. Because he's a single man who controls an entire country. So he's paranoid.
Holy shit.
And he's just realized he's hit like some incredible gold mine here. Yeah, so that was like some of the brutality that he was up against.
Yeah.
So other European nations at the time weren't cool with that level of brutality.
They were also very brutal, but like not this level of brutal.
So they weren't okay with it.
They didn't know about it initially.
But when they found out
And then
about
they
it,
found out about it, then they weren't okay about it. There was this massive thing of King Leopold's Congo nieces. Like even back in the day, this was like when
weird that, I don't know, before social media, you just have entire nations gulag.
I was thinking about that. It's like, I was actually thinking that. Like now, or in any situation now, boom, it's all over the world in 1 second, literally. But back then, it's like, it was unprovable.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it's a crazy.
And the reason why, like,
Really weird concept.
It is. It's almost like a foreign concept now, which is scary in itself if you think about how quickly the world changes. But yeah.
It was incredible. And like the only way this got exposed was because of that guy from Liverpool who ended up getting all of these missionaries come to him from all over the world who had seen the scenes over there and were like, yo, this is our
McCartney.
story. This
Paul
is what we
McCartney.
saw. No one's paying attention to it. So then it started to get out and people were like, okay, King Leopold's like Congo is fucked. What they also realized was that there was a fuckload of wealth there. Like,
So what happened
that
in the
place, if it could be very fucking rich.
So how does Transformers finish?
So, okay. So then what happens is eventually the Belgian government is like, after King Leopold dies, who, by the way, dies snugly in his bed, like no issues. They're like, okay, we're just going to take over Congo now.
Bel-
The Belgian
Yeah.
government's like, we're going to take over Congo.
And that, kids, is why things that are run by the state is better than things run by the private institutions.
Look, the Belgian...
Don't you think that? Like, as soon as it went in there, that would have been a huge relief.
It was. It's still brutal. Colonization was not fun. In fact, like, while we're on this subject, and if someone is genuinely interested in this,
But at least there was regulation to it.
yeah, there was regulation to it. One of the greatest books I've ever read, I remember reading this as like a teenager. It's called Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon. It's about the decolonization of Africa. It is one of the greatest books I've ever read. But anyways, coming back to it. So, yeah, Belgium takes over. It's still brutal, but like not nearly as King Leopold kind of brutal. That guy was just a maniac.
You know what? I honestly, sorry, I just can't get over it. I've never heard a better argument against the free market than King Leopold's Congo.
Yeah.
One
Yes,
guy
sir.
controlling all the resources.
The second biggest country in Africa.
Yeah.
I mean,
One
there can
guy.
be corrupt governments that would do us the same thing.
No. That it's such a great example of that as soon as the government takes over, it gets way less brutal.
Yeah, but that's one example.
But the government was also like fucked. I don't want to say like Belgium was like obviously like not psychopathic fucked like King Leopold was.
I'm sure, I fully understand that, right? Like,
I'm sure there's-
obviously systems, are always going to have fucked aspects to them or whatever. But man, just as soon as you're like accountable to someone, things get like a lot easier. A
It
lot
makes
better.
sense, but I'm sure there are examples of the opposite where it's like, thank God the government should gone. This guy has marshmallows or something, There are probably
You reckon?
yeah, there are probably examples where like,
I don't know, man. King Leopold did seem like the Ellen DeGeneres of the 1800s.
I mean, what about private?
Yeah,
what about
yeah.
people that buy up like swaths of rainforest that are just one guy and shit like that?
That's true. That's very true.
But like they could be like pretty crazy too.
True, but I'm just saying it's not that. Well, look, we both make good points, but yeah. So what happened?
Okay, so then what happens is Belgium takes over, right? And then it's like a typical colony, like a German colony or a French colony. Then we come into normal category. But these guys have been fucked over from this period. So by the time the Congo gets decolonized, there was just never any sort of infrastructure government. Like, usually what happens is when we think of colonization or decolonization, we think of like India, where like there's this one guy, Gandhi, who's just like, get the hell out of my country. You are no longer welcome. Dude, these guys were like, please don't leave. Like, we don't mind you leaving because how are we going to manage this? Because it was so stunted. These guys were like not treated as humans. They were never able to... There was no education. There was nothing. There were like not enough people that could run day-to-day affairs. But
So who became the ruling class?
well, there were some people that were working with the Belgians at the time, and they became the ruling class of the time. But the one thing that happened was that when Belgium withdrew, they withdrew not because of pressure, but because they were like, this is getting too much. But one of the things that they said was, you are politically independent, but you're not economically independent. We still, because again, now we know, by this time they had figured out that ivory and rubber was just the tip of the surface. This place has gold, this place has copper, this has like, it's basically a Western Australia, but like even more if you can think of that. So they're like, this is
If it was
an
a junk.
incredible place. So then you had all of these American companies, these British companies, French companies, Belgian companies, that had such huge stakes, and they didn't want to get rid of that. So they're like, you're not economically independent. You can do some of your political shit. So they fuck off, right? Then there's this, the first ever democratic elections are held. And there's a coalition government, but they elect this guy, I think he was called Jabumba or something. Jabumba, I think. He came up, and the first thing that he said was,
Jumanji.
if Jumanji. In order for us to...
It's set in Africa, isn't it? No, there's African animals. Go on.
In order for us to be truly independent and to be able to like stand up, we need to be economically independent as well as politically independent. And again, this is not hearsay. This is not rumors. This is fact. Eisenhower personally okayed his assassination. He was assassinated by the CIA, and Eisenhower personally okayed it.
Wait. Eisenhower's American.
Yeah, American. So by this time, this was around late 60s or mid 60s.
Right.
They didn't like a guy that was saying we want to be. Basically, he was a Gough Whitlam, but
Dang.
because it was Congo, they could kill.
Jesus, really?
So they killed him, and then they set up this this dictator. There was a military coup that took over Congo, and this guy called Djibouti. No, not Djibouti.
Juman.
The dictator. Fuck, his name's kind of.
Yeah.
But like he was a very famous guy. He was the dictator for Zaire at the time, but Congo now for
Last king of
decades.
Scotland, is that guy? No, that was
No,
Uganda.
that was Idi Amin. That was Uganda.
Yeah.
But he was a similar character, and he was just plundering. In fact, he at one point, what he realized was that the Western powers.
Africa's had a fucked run, haven't they?
Dude, Congo in particular. What he realized was that the Western world is very paranoid of communism. So in order for him to like get any kind of aid and any support, he could do whatever he wants as long as he was seen as the guy that was against
Right.
Soviet influence in Africa.
Yeah.
So he would often not make sure that his country doesn't develop because he kept getting this aid, and that was just way easier for him to get. And he was also the king of like when you give money to your friends to like just shut them up or whatever. He was like so good at like making sure personal favors were rewarded through like all this aid money, and he just like he doesn't do much. This place, if it has a functioning government, is fucking rich. If you know a little bit about Africa, it's like Botswana is another country which is relatively free, relatively it has a stable government. It is there's corruption, but it takes care. Like when I was living in Malaysia, Botswanan people were like first world people. They were given money by the government. They were there on scholarships. They had money to spend. They were looked at as like kings because their government just paid for everything. And Botswana is very rich in diamond, but it was discovered after the decolonization process.
Gotcha.
So they kind of
Gotcha.
and they were lucky enough to have leaders that were able to like properly make use of it. So Congo should technically be like Botswana, but way richer and way bigger.
Yeah.
But this dictator Djibouti or whatever his name is, he didn't do that. Eventually, there's an uprising and he's taken off. He moves to Morocco and he dies like 6 months later. And since then, this was in the 90s. And since then, there's been this massive power vacuum in Congo that has led to insane amounts of people dying. Because Congo is now looked at as like the forefront of the African World War, where there's a lot of these countries that are fighting. It's a combination of being extremely rich and not having a functioning government of your own.
So they don't have any government.
They have very basic government. They have a lot of warlordism. Have you seen Beasts of No Nation, Children Soldier?
Right.
That's a lot of that is Congo.
Since the 60s.
What's a basic functioning
Since the 90s.
government?
A basic functioning government is that someone that is able to exercise authority. Someone that is saying that, look, I don't care what you think, this is how it's going to happen. It's like the dictator. Say what
So
you want
basically,
about
there's
him.
just a general with an army, and that's the government.
Someone that can maintain control. Someone that is not constantly being attacked by others.
Is there cops? Is there schools?
There's, very minimal. Very, very minimal. It's probably one of the worst places. It's the second
school's
lowest
private or
ranked in the
state
world
run?
in terms of Human Development Index.
Right.
Second lowest
What's
in
the
the
what's
world.
the lowest?
Can't remember. Maybe like it has to be either
Some
like
other
another
country.
sub-Saharan African or maybe Afghanistan.
But are the schools there private or are they publicly run?
Well, they're some of them are run by different warlords, so I guess you can call them public because a lot of times the warlords are the
Yeah,
government.
we take care of our communities.
Jesus.
Some of them
2 plus
are-
2 is 4. 5. Fuck.
There is like a national
cool
government,
school.
and they run some of these public services, but they're reprehensible. Like there's no awesome schools over there.
Yeah.
So
Really? So there's not some kind of grammar or something for the elites?
there always is,
Charter
but like not like there's a huge amount of people there, and none of like a very very small fraction of them are able to achieve this. Some of them end up going to Belgium and France for uni and shit, but they're like the rich cunts, like basically the dictators.
And why are
friends
they
who are
rich?
making money.
Dictators' friends.
Aid, and also they're cut from all of these mining exports. They're exporting copper, they're exporting gold.
But how did they get
exporting
rich in
diamond.
the first place? Was it the same thing that happened in
They
Pakistan?
worked-
It was just they were part of the bureaucracy there, and then they figured out how to exploit the system from there. Is that how the upper
even
class
when
worked?
King Leopold was going crazy, he did have options for some tribal chiefs saying like, either we just kill you all, and we slave you and we do this, or you, the leader, I give you some money and you let me do this with your people. And so some of them said, okay, it's a difficult choice.
Yeah.
It's a difficult choice. Like you think
Not
it's
for
an
me.
easy one.
What are you doing?
I'm letting my people die, man.
So these
Principle.
But he's going to
man.
die anyway, right?
So some of these people came under the
harsher.
patronage of the Belgian or King Leopold and eventually the Belgian forces, who ended up working for the government doing menial, administrative roles, and they eventually, after decolonization, were in a position to be able to take control of the country, but they were not qualified. There was very few of them. That's why there was anarchy that eventually.
So their upper class isn't even educated. They're just lucky dumb cunts.
Some of them are. Some of them are educated, but they're not English educated. They're French educated, so we don't meet them that often. They usually spend time in France and they go back. So
I think they still have kings.
yeah, they do. They were independent. Again, Congo, we look at Congo as one country because King Leopold's territory is now Congo. But these were like independent villages and kingdoms
Yeah.
within Congo. That's why they were able to like so easily. So one of the things that like, and this was, again, this is touching on like my Black Lives Matter video, but these kingdoms, their sense of identity and kinship did not come from like a pan-national African identity. It was based on their kinship and their kingdoms. So they had no problems enslaving other black people from a different one if they had won a war. It's like, we tend to look at it as like, the white people just like
Yeah.
going there and like...
Colonization
they-
is the history of the world.
Yeah, like a lot of Africans were responsible for a lot of these slave exports. Like they started like attacking
North
other...
America, right? Didn't
South and North.
Oh,
You
right.
got to watch my video because I go into detail in this. And Africa literally became depopulated because the powerful kingdoms started attacking. Initially, it was so that they can loot commodities and then they would take slaves as a consequence. But then they started attacking other kingdoms to get slaves, to get eligible black men. These black men were attacking other black men so that they could sell them to the European guy. And
Right.
literally, it became depopulated. Part of it also has even
Congo?
Congo also became depopulated, but that was because what happened was when these rubber plantations, when they were going out to get this rubber, most of the time was spent on this and not spent on like collecting food and sowing things. So there was famine. There was an intense famine, and technically more people died from diseases because famine was such that their bodies didn't have the capability to fight off these diseases. So the estimates are that there were about 20 million people at the time in Congo, and within a couple of decades of King Leopold, it became 10 million. So half of the population died.
Dang.
All right, go to Kagame.
Okay, so now we come to this post-Civil War era. Look, there's a lot of people that are fighting for Congo. Congo is like a cash cow that doesn't have a leader, so everyone wants it. But what we do know is that there's no like one trick policy to solve it, right? But what we do know is that the biggest player that is ruining Congo and is solely responsible for killing millions and millions of people is actually Paul Kagame, the leader of Rwanda. He is a
Dang.
Western power favorite because he was able to convince Western powers that they were too ignorant for not interfering during the Rwandan genocide, but actually Jordan has more opinions on this, and he can get into like the Rwandan genocide, but
Is he a
he is
tutu
not.
or the other one?
He's a toot.
He's a tutu. He's a tutu, and the general like sort of perception for most people is that the Tutus or the Tutsis were these victims that were killed by Hutus. That's true for that one period of the genocide, but there was always like the Tutsis, like Paul Kagame was living in Burundi at the time as a refugee, and he formed this intense army that would come in these random raids.
And the Tutsis have been impressing the Hutu for hundreds of years, maybe thousands.
Yeah, in fact, like what triggered the genocide itself was that the Tutsis took out the president. It was like equivalent of like someone shooting down Scott Morrison's plane.
But still, the official story is that it was the Hutu doing that against their own president.
But that is the
triggered
official story.
genocide.
Right.
And that
there's no
think
evidence to
about
support
what a
that.
fairy tale that sounds like.
Yeah.
Now that you think about it, right? Like it's just like, but it was just it's common knowledge. I used to be obsessed with the Rwandan genocide years ago, and I forgot about it. But I was just reading the official story. But it's the exact opposite of the truth of everything, and all of it just seems so inconvenient. Like with the assassination of the president, for instance. There was an Australian that was taken in as just part of like an international investigation team to look at it, and he was saying, look, it was shot down by a Tutsi weapon. It came from this direction, which is exactly where the Tutsi base is. We even have we have Kagame like saying, we have envoys of him like having messages with other people that have said, yeah, he told me to do it. He took all this information to the UN. The UN didn't want to hear anything about it. Nothing. They got really angry at him, defensive, and just tore his report up into shreds and said the official story is that the Hutu killed the president to trigger this genocide against the Tutsi, which even if you look at the numbers, they say that there was something along the lines of 600,000 to 1 million, something along those lines, died.
Jesus.
But the official numbers is about 200,000 Tutsi died. And in the census, even after the genocide, there was still 250,000 Tutsi there. So there was 450,000 Tutsi, then there was 200,000 Tutsi. So what was the other 800,000? It was all Hutu. And it was because these guys, and they had been acting as a invading force, the Tutsi that were run by Kagame, coming from Burundi and the Congo. And they've been attacking Rwanda.
Like blitz
for
warfare.
years.
Come in, kill, go back, retreat.
Not even that. They were just starting to invade territory.
They wanted to take
You know what
over.
else came to this insane point where the Hutu government had to work alongside Kagame, and this was like during its independence state before the genocide. So there was basically two parliaments working at the same time there, which is insanity. It's just like an invading force from Canada just coming into the White House and saying, we're taking, I don't know, the Pentagon or something like that, and that's our parliament now. It was weird. And this is like a terrorist force.
Jesus.
And so what happens after post what Jordan just said, after Paul Kagame comes into power, he gets backing from Western powers. There's this whole media perception. There's movies like Whole Rwanda, which clearly give like a very one-sided picture of what happened. A lot of Hutus moved
But
to Congo.
the whole press is like that. It's another example of manufacturing consent. It's very hard
What
to
the hell's
find.
Hotel Rwanda? It's about.
Hotel is a movie that
Right,
was based on the Rwandan genocide.
But it's pure
which is
propaganda.
which is almost propaganda, really.
Because again, it's just one story of one guy. Yeah, he had a rough time as a Hutu protecting Tutsi or whatever, but
It's not that Tutsis didn't die, but it's just like a very narrow interpretation of what happened.
Yeah.
There was so much more that also happened. So Hutus that were living in Rwanda, when Kagame came into power, were afraid that he's going to kill them. So they became refugees and moved to Congo.
And this is always portrayed in the Western media as the French being the bad guys because the French were helping out the Hutu. But that's because the French knew that the Hutu were the ones that were the victims of the genocide.
Right.
So the French, and it was actually why Boutros Ghandi, who was the guy that was the Secretary General of the UN at the time, he was trying to warn the planet, saying it's exactly the opposite story of what the Americans are telling you is happening in Rwanda, and that's why he was booted out of the UN. It's basically, dude, the French press are the real info wars of the world. They're the ones telling it like it is.
And so all of these, and Kagame still, like, it's been, almost 15 years or more since the genocide. He still regularly threats that he's going to go into Congo and kill these Hutus.
And still does.
And still does, regularly.
So wait,
that's actually part of the Civil War.
Oh, so
the Hutu were the underclass. They were 90% of the population.
the guy. Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
And the Tutsi were 10%, and they were the ruling class.
Right. Okay.
And then there
cool,
was
cool.
a rebellion that happened, and then the Hutu took over. Well, actually, I think the French, when they were going out, realized, like, man, these guys have been fucked over too much. We're going to help them set up a democratic government. So obviously the Hutu won.
So today the leader of Rwanda wants to fuck over the.
Yeah, so his official reasoning for consistently waging supporting civil wars and waging war against the Congo,
Shelling
killing
refugee
millions
camps.
of people, is that because of the Hutus that live in Congo, this place cannot be run by the Congolese because it's a threat to Rwanda. But when you actually look at the areas that he's actually taken over or like is waging most amount of violence in are these mineral-rich areas. He doesn't care about the rest of Congo. He cares about those mines.
But how does he even have like, let's say
He has intense amounts of Western money, weapons, and backing. Here's the thing. Now, Paul Kagame has a very, very close. He has a very sophisticated lobby in Washington, but he has a very close friend in Washington, like close, like you and Jordan are. That person's name is Susan Rice. Susan Rice is most likely Joe Biden's VP candidate, and knowing how Joe Biden is going, possibly the president.
whoa.
So there is no way until
Dude.
Susan Rice.
Alex Jones, the new Alex.
We're through the looking glass here, people.
Fuck. So she's a Dem.
She's a Dem, and she's very close friends with Kagame. Kagame has a lot of friends. So what needs to
This is all the
happen?
Clinton era.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone that understands Congo even a slight bit, and there's very few people. Like when I was researching this, I found out there's not many people that know
It's
about
complicated, isn't it?
this. It's complicated, but like the ones that do know
it's not
about
that
it
complicated.
That's not that complicated.
have
I'm
one
just saying,
thing to say. Immediately cut off all aid to Kagame. Tell him to stop interfering in Congo and try to come up with a peace resolution with him out of there. That does not happen.
Wait, is that the Rwandan dude?
Yeah, the Rwandan dude. So
Isn't Rwanda's economy killing it now? Shouldn't he just not be
yeah,
interested?
because they're getting insane amounts of US dollars all the time, and they've got best
Okay.
friends that
And
are becoming
also,
VP
the
candidates.
US have allowed what they did with Japan and South Korea. They want Rwanda to be successful.
But wait a
because
sec,
they're using Rwanda as the
proxy.
Israel of Africa.
No, okay, but like I
They
get
want it to be a strong state.
And they're basically they're encouraging warlordism. Kagame has this massive army. These children soldiers, that we
really well
talk
trained
about,
as well.
they're
Elite crack soldiers.
They're
really.
Kagame, yeah, the Rwandan guy.
Wait a sec. Are there
He is the biggest player in the Congo.
What's the?
And you know what? He's the biggest mass murderer alive today.
The
So anybody
president
that
of-
sits there and says, sorry to bring it back to China again, but shut the fuck up. This is all US influence. This is a result. They are harboring a mass murderer at the moment. So shut up.
Yeah, and it's really hard to convince the U.S. administration, Democratic or Republican, that you've got to like not support Kagame anymore on this because.
But this
first of
isn't a
all,
difficult- it's not-
Kagame assures them that if I have control of Congo, you have control of Congo. If I have control of mines, you have control of mines.
But what-
And you have contracts.
But what's his quote unquote, let's say, like obviously there's no morality involved here, but let's say on paper, his moral ground of intervening with the Congo, is it just that those two, whatever that tribe of,
Yeah.
is it just that they're in the Congo?
They're in the Congo.
There's that.
So
And-
what?
but
That's
he was
legal?
trained
That's-
as a zealot.
But there's nothing wrong legally, I would assume, if those people want to flee Rwanda and live there. It's none of his business. The Congo isn't Rwanda.
No,
Well,
but he's-
that's a
he's-
rational opinion, but he doesn't
Exactly,
agree with
but
that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's
Is it
Got that
affecting?
terrorist scare thing.
Is it affecting their
terrorist-
economy?
Basically
Is it
go and
affecting their
invade Iraq.
economy? Is it such an exodus that it's affecting their economy?
No, their economy is doing well because they
then what
have
the fuck's
fucking
he
Uncle
care?
Sam with them. Whereas on the other hand, these poor people that have throughout history
you think-
been killed, made slaves in
Yeah.
their own country.
So do you think that?
are like still going through that, but
you
except
think
like
that-
now it's like not actually King Leopold, it's like Paul Kagame with backing of U.S. forces.
So do you think Kagame is doing it from pressure from the States?
No, he's doing it because he wants to make money because Congo is fucking rich and has no
Right.
There's no.
I don't think
powerful
that's actually the
owner.
case. He grew up in a military family. I think that he has just been indoctrinated into the idea that the Hutu are the enemy, and that is as embedded into him.
How many
as
are there?
Self-esteem issues are with kids.
How many
I
are
really
there?
think, huh?
How many? Yeah, in the Congo.
I think it might be like the Exodus was like maybe close to a few 100,000 to a million.
That's
That
fuck
went
all. What's the
Well, the population was 9 million at the time, and 1 million had just died. So just Exodus, I don't know what the percentage that is.
But there's already Hutus
Okay,
in
like
Congo.
20% of the population.
Right, no, that isn't fuck all. I thought you meant today.
There's
No,
already
today there's
Hutus
still
in
hundreds
Congo.
of thousands of refugees.
No, but I'm saying like, okay, look, those are the numbers. I'm just trying to figure out like, do the Congolese care that they're there?
Yeah, they don't like it.
They don't like him.
Yeah, there's like literally a war going on where other African nations that are not supported by the U.S. are saying like, dude, we need to do something about this Kagame guy. He wants to take
Yeah.
over all of Africa. He wants to take over like countries that are not even his.
Yeah.
Now that like, and he has this like fucking thing of being the victim of saying like, well, the Rwandan genocide. Watch Hotel Rwanda,
Yeah.
and then you'll know why I'm good. Where they're like actively trying to resist him as much as possible, but Kagame has like Uncle Sam with him. So he's basically taken over the areas of Congo that are very rich and rich in minerals, and he makes sure that there's enough anarchy and there's not a singular government that can oppose him. So he likes the idea that they're constantly fighting because it helps him. It serves his purpose.
All right, well, sounds like a living nightmare. I wish the best of luck to them all.
It is.
And not if you're in Rwanda. Rwanda's like Singapore now.
Yeah, Rwanda's alright, but
Yeah,
Congo
but you
is
just
hell.
said that that's only because of American backing.
Yeah.
So, and from my understanding, the majority of the people living in Rwanda are like the oppressors.
This is the other,
Right?
the huge myths that you get about Rwanda is that it is now a functioning democracy and that Kagame has just so happened to win every single election in a Hutu majority country when he's clearly a Tutsi. And he also has this thing of this policy of nobody is Hutu or Tutsi anymore, everybody is Rwandan.
Yeah.
But you can
Except for the Hutus
and this is
living in
also
Congo.
a myth, the fact that they're also
Yeah.
saying that, there's a big point in Hotel Rwanda of, I am Tutsi and I am Hutu, but you guys look like sisters. I know, you can't tell. You can tell. So everybody knows what the score is there, and it's kind of a caste system.
But
Hutus
but
are
still-
the privileged class.
okay, but here's a question then: like,
Sorry, Tutsis are the privileged class.
can a irrelevant of the of all the class situation, is it possible for a country like Rwanda to prosper in every way, more or less, because of a pimp economy, irrelevant of backing and where the money comes from? Not irrelevant of where the money comes from. Like the Congo, extracting it from the Congo is super fucked. But I'm just saying, like I guess what I'm asking is like, if you go to Rwanda, like you said, the standard of living, like it's still probably one of the safest, most prosperous countries in
Easily.
In Africa,
But
yeah.
it's like for all the wrong reasons, and it's like
No, it's just that, dude. They
No, it is
they've
for
been-
all the wrong reasons.
But they've been like the only reason why they're able to do that in Congo isn't that they have something that Congo doesn't, which is stability.
here's another question then.
They have
Not just that. Not just that. I will give Kagame, it's so weird giving a mass murderer huge credit, but he's an extremely intelligent man and he does run a good society.
Right.
I'll say that. Like he went across the planet, learned everything he could from all of these tiger
Korea,
economies,
right?
like Singapore's and your Koreas, came back and exported all of that economic knowledge to Rwanda.
So-
but still, he's a monster.
So okay,
He's actually a mass
he's
murderer
a-
that I cannot get behind.
Here's another question then. Like the minority in Rwanda, do you think this is kind of irrelevant? But like, do you think the sort of perspective in terms of their perspective, like, are any of them happy and like
minority.
yeah, whatever they're called?
They're ruling. Hutus are the
Sorry, the majority. My mistake.
Yeah.
The majority in Rwanda. Do you think that they're just like, dude, I'm just happy that like I have an iPhone?
You know what? Apparently, no, maybe
They're
not. But the thing is about Rwandans, and this is actually something that goes across Hutu and Tutsi. Apparently, they're an extremely reserved people, and it's very, very difficult to gauge how they think and feel.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
very private people.
Right. Interesting.
But I can tell you,
Libertarians. No, I'm joking.
we did African Heartland of Rwanda too, and I remember reading one of the things that the Hutus are mostly in the agricultural sector, and the Tutsis.
I forget
were
which one's
in,
which. God damn it. Which is
Tutsi is the ruling class.
Okay.
Tutsis are ruling
All right,
class
gotcha.
and the minority, and now leading. And Tutsis do like other sectors. Slowly, the Rwandan economy is now concentrating more of its wealth away from the agricultural sector, more into like sectors of mineral exports and basically Tutsi-dominated areas of economy.
Right. So they're moving it away from agriculture.
It could be a coincidence. What I'm saying is like, they might be reserved, but like looking at that and where the trend is going, and by the way, they're the mass majority of the country too, Hutus. So I'm guessing that they're not big fans of Kagame at the point.
No,
Yeah.
that's one thing that you can be sure.
I mean, just the fact that so many left recently would suggest that it's like, obviously there's a reason. People don't just flee a country for no reason.
Yeah.
Could everyone just... No, that's stupid. I'm just thinking like, whenever you hear those situations like the Congo, you tend to think like, human beings value, well, poor normal people tend to value their lives over like minerals. Like, could there not, like, is it unimaginable to think there could just be an exodus of like everybody out of the Congo because they're just like, fuck this shit, I'm going to Tunisia or some shit?
Well,
That's what they do.
That's what happens.
So everyone's bailing from the
Except
Congo.
that it's not Tunisia, it's Faulkner.
So everyone's bailing.
Melbourne.
Right. So everyone's...
Well, Mum used to raise. Actually, they were a royal family
So
in
is-
the Congo, but she used to help out Congolese refugees when they came to
Right.
Australia.
So wait, is their
And so
population
there's
just
huge
dropping?
Swaths of huh?
Is their population dropping massively?
Well, it's just the whole
not
thing of
dropping
Africa is
there.
in this constant tide of refugee camps getting set up in, say, Uganda, and then Uganda heats over, and so they go into the Congo, and then the Congo heats over, and so they go to, Botswana or what. It just keeps moving around.
Yeah, that's also true.
Jesus.
And it's all fucked, man.
Dude, it sounds way too... So, but actually, before... Okay, like, you've covered everything, but just back to the point of the Biden's running mate or whatever.
Susan Rice.
Yeah. I thought it was like... I know the Clintons have had a hand in that and all that, but like, I thought you guys tend to like have told me that like the Republicans do more of the evil stuff.
Oh, when it comes to imperialism.
policy, it's-
But again, this is the whole point that I was just saying about
When it comes
with
to
King
foreign
Leopold
policy.
or the Belgium Parliament running the Congo.
Yeah.
If those are the two choices, I would choose Belgian Parliament running the Congo in a second. It's empire.
No.
Empire is always going to... It's a system that is run, right? So it just depends on... If you have a choice of what faction is going to run that empire, you would obviously choose the Democrats.
As opposed to...
True, yeah, definitely.
Wait, as
But it's
opposed,
still an
as opposed
empire.
to what?
What I'm saying is it's still an empire.
Yeah, but opposed... Yeah,
Because
sure.
Democrats have their, like, as much as I hate to admit this, the Democrats do have foreign policy advantages. Like, for example, they're not as they're not as hawkish on like Palestine as the Republicans are. They're not
what-
by any means.
No,
like,
but you know what they are more hawkish on? China.
no, they're not.
No way.
Trump is
Yeah, China's the...
Look,
China's
here's the thing.
Yeah,
there's
but
a
you wait,
consensus.
you
They
wait.
both are hawkish, and yes, because like this
But
is
wait, but I
way
guess-
bigger than Trump and Biden.
But I guess
The-
what I'm
the
saying-
China thing is going to continue. But
Because Trump's is more economic. I think that as soon as the Democrats are in, that's where they're going to be putting all of their exercise of military conflict.
Yeah, that would suck.
they will. I agree with you. But having said that, like Trump's people around Trump, they really hate China. They preempted it. If Trump hadn't gotten elected, and if it was any other Republican party, we would end up where we are today, as in being like a total adversary against China, but it would have been delayed. Trump, people like Steve Bannon, people like Bolton,
Yeah, Bannon
just
hates
told,
Trump.
hey, here's the thing. China is bad, and you need to bring that up straight away. Because he was the only one, if you remember, during the campaign that was talking about like, China, they're taking everything. And they were like, dude, this is our guy. Someone that's
Right. Yeah.
anti-China.
No, that's very true.
But
That's
even
very
when
true.
Democrats come in, they're not going to be like, go
when it comes
good
to
with China.
foreign policy, it's the US. It's going to be terrible no matter who's in power.
Right,
what
right,
I'm
right,
saying is, even if Susan Rice does become the vice president, and I do very much sympathise with Rwandans and the Congolese, it's basically the only people on earth that I do sympathise with.
Right.
But having said that, they're just going to have to take one for the team.
On that note,
Jesus.
see you guys next week.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.